Welcome to Vibrational Revelations. Alejandro and I are honored to have Dr. Samir Osmanagich back with us for another amazing interview. We came back from Bosnia in August. We were there in July for 6 days. It was such a magical experience. And actually, we both went in not expecting anything. We were just open. And we were really surprised with how powerful the energies are there and the amount of love that you pour into putting everything together, including the archaeological park. And then, of course, you've asked us to read frequencies of the different pyramids that are part of the Bosnian pyramid complex. And there's very interesting revelations that happened. But perhaps before we go into the Bosnian pyramids, I believe you shared before that you visited most of the pyramids around the world. And the question that arises, which I think you've mentioned at some point, that like in Africa, there's 155 pyramids, right? So there's different cultures that have these pyramids. And history has been hiding from us the age of the pyramids. And that led you, that all of that research going around the world has led you to your own backyard, so to say, to see what was right in front of you, that perhaps if you didn't travel around the world, you would have never been able to recognize it, right? So let's go through the age of what history tells us the pyramids are, and we'll go outside of Bosnia. And also I want to talk about when you said that there's new type of scientists that are emerging. And those are the scientists that are not just looking at the hypothetical things, but are actually investigating the work that you're doing and the team of scientists that you're bringing together to test samples, right? Different types of energy imprints. And this is the type that you call 3.0. I think you called it 3.0. Yes.
Correct.
So, yeah, a new and improved version. And I think this is where this true science that is exploring everything is bringing to the forefront of what perhaps history and science previously has not wanted to address.
Right. So there might be time to be rewritten.
Yes.
Right?
That's
Correct.
right.
Well, first of all, thanks a lot for coming to Bosnia. And I knew that you were going to enjoy the experience. And I think now you know that what we have here is truly the island of the true history, spiritual peace and harmony, people coming from all over the world and having unique experience. Now, you just mentioned two different, very important topics. The first one is about the age of the pyramids. Now, we have learned that the world of the past was the world of pyramids. Australia, Gympie Pyramid, it's a shaped hill with the four sides and triangular faces. Obviously not done by the white European, Englishmen or people from Scotland, and it was not done by the Aborigines. It was done by somebody else. We cannot really establish the date for the Gympie Pyramid. However, for the Chinese pyramids in the province of Shanxi, we know that they are definitely older than 12,000 years. Indonesia, Western Java, Gunung Padang Pyramid, Dr. Danny Hillman, a scientist with a geophysical degrees, he did dating and it took him back 28,500 years. Kohker Pyramid, officially 10th century. For me, it is much, much older, for sure, older than 5,000 years. Then the pyramids on the island of Mauritius, we don't know the age, thousands of years for sure. Nubian pyramids in northern Sudan, 4,000 years. 155 pyramids on Egyptian soil. 28 oldest pyramids, among them Giza pyramids. It seems that all of them are older than 12,000 years. Now this is the magical number, 12,000 meaning the end of the last ice age. For historians and archaeologists, until 12,000, Paleolithic times, Paleolithic meaning old stone age, then we have Mesolithic and then Neolithic times. For them, only during Neolithic times, last 8,000 years, people were able to build huge structure, and they are deadly wrong there. It seems for me that the oldest Egyptian pyramids, and for me the oldest one is a red pyramid in Dashur, then the Giza pyramids are older than 30,000 years. And then we have pyramids on the Canary Islands, also thousands of years old. We have Peruvian pyramids, different ages, but 5, 8, 9,000 years. Bolivia, maybe even more than 12,000 years. Mayan pyramids, 7, 8,000 years back until about 1,000 before present. Cahokia pyramids in the States, more than 2,000 years. Palencia pyramids in Spain, couple of thousand years. Some of the Greek pyramids, 3,000, 4,000 years. So now we can see that we need to extend the time period for the pyramid builders. Bosnian pyramids, according to our radiocarbon dating, 29,200 years plus minus 400 years. The question when is one of the major archaeological questions. Who, when, how, and why. So once you answer when, then you can try to figure out who. However, according to our historical documents, we have nothing from 29,000 or 28 or 20,000 years, according to the mainstream historians and archaeologists. However, some of the documents, like Turin King List, which can be seen at the display in Egyptian Museum in Turin, Italy, tells us about all the rulers in ancient Egypt. And the first rulers came, actually descended from the kingdom of heaven to kingdom of earth 42,500 years back. And another very important artifact, which is called Sumerian King List, takes us back for 273,000 years. And the first Sumerian rulers who would rule Sumeria, 30,000 years in average each, like Alajar, 28,800, and so on. So now we can see why dating of those sites, especially pyramid sites, is so important. And the next thing, the oldest pyramids on the planet are at the same time the biggest and the most superior. What does it tell us? It tells us that the knowledge has been brought. We don't see evolution, but knowledge has been brought about the pyramids. And for example, in Egypt, the first 28 pyramids are the oldest. Those that they came later, and we know they were built by the 12th dynasty rulers or 19th dynasty rulers, 3,300 or 3,500 years back. They were built from the mud bricks, from the inferior material. So no evolution, on the contrary. Same thing goes for China. That's why the dating is so important. The second question you asked about the researchers on our Bosnian pyramid project, but also not only in Bosnia, but all over the world. I did mention during our previous interview that in the area of the independent research, 1967 was a very important date when Erich von Däniken published his first book called Chariots of Gods. And he did open the eyes to millions of people, giving them another option, how and who built pyramids and major megalithic sites around the world. So let's say he was generation 1.0. 1990s, we have people like Graham Hancock, John Anthony West, Robert Schoch, Robert Boal, and the others who started questioning the dates, saying the pyramids were not built 4,500 years, but most probably they are older than 12,000 years, which was also very important because it tells us that instead of just the latest cycle in civilization, we did have previous civilization cycluses. And now, starting 2005, 2010, we have a new generation of independent researchers, people who have their academic degrees. For example, Dr. Danny Hillman from Indonesia, his PhD in geophysics from the University in California. In Russia, we have Professor Konstantin Korotkov, who's also a PhD, and he's been doing research on effects of the pyramid energy. Valery Uvarov, also Russians, he's been building pyramids. Our friend Michael Tellinger, he's been doing multidisciplinary research of the stone circles, and Adam's calendar in South Africa, and of course the Bosnian Pyramid Project. For the last 17 years, we have become the most active archaeological site, combining classical sciences, high-tech disciplines, energy measurements, and medical studies. So this is the era of, let's say, generation 3.0 in independent research. Now, we have our project sites, so we don't need to ask permission from anyone. Plus, we are much more open than the classical archaeology or Egyptology.
Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to bring also for people's minds and attention that you actually have a team of how many scientists? Over 70, right? That have come and
right now we have 72 employees. As a matter of fact, today is the beginning of September, and they got their paychecks today. But then we cooperate with dozens of scientists from different fields. We have held 6 international scientific conferences on Bosnian pyramids. Over 110 scientists from 28 countries came to Bosnia. They've done their measurements, lab analysis, dating, and so on. So we are showing different way, more open way, how to approach ancient sites, and we've been proving that actually the pyramids, megalithic sites, are actually ancient technology or energy amplifiers.
So for those people, because it's important to address, there's a whole narrative that is absolutely trying to block this information. And this is why I wanted to ask you this question, that there's different scientists coming from different backgrounds testing this, because it is important. It is important to bring science into it and all the different disciplines, because the very traditional, narrow-minded, right, outdated kind of science is not willing to see it. Have you ever had a scientist that came that was not sure, and then they saw and recognized, oh, maybe I have poor beliefs?
People like that, we have people like that almost on daily basis. We have people who are intellectuals. They have, academic degrees. We have doctors. We have engineers. We have professors. We have geologists. We have archaeologists. They come and they said, well, I was looking at it. I didn't think it was so serious, but then once they came to the Bosnian pyramid sites, when they heard from our guides the stories about all the scientific exploration, once they saw it for themselves, they realized that this is a huge, huge complex. And of course, even though it needs a lot of research, what we have done so far is so important. We've realized that the ancients were building not only the constructions, not only the structures, but they knew once they applied the elements of sacred geometry, like equilateral triangle, hexagon, number pi, number phi, golden section, Fibonacci spiral, that they cause the energy to move. And now we come to the major question about the purpose of pyramids. It has always been about the energy. They were doing terraforming, it's so big area, it's almost unbelievable what they were doing above the ground and below the ground. So far, we have proven that we have at least 6 pyramids in the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. We have the tumuli complex, and we have huge network of underground tunnels.
Perhaps it's less about the outdated science. I would say it's more about perspective, right?
Well, you see, Alejandro, when they teach you, the older generations, about the pyramids being tombs for the pharaohs and being built only in Egypt and Mexico, and then you start writing, you write your books, curriculum, you teach the kids in the wrong way. And now all of a sudden they have to change everything. Of course, there is a resistance. They want to keep the status quo, but they need to realize that science is there not to protect their positions and the way they were teaching kids wrong. The new scientific information emerged in all scientific fields. And it's logical to change our books, to change our PhDs, to change what our professorships mean. We need to adjust with the new information. And whatever was discovered 50 years back, nowadays, in 21st century, had to be modified, corrected, or even rewritten.
So now let's go into the Bosnian pyramid complex, because you say it's the largest pyramid complex in the world. Is it the largest because of the size or because of the amount of pyramids? How
Both.
are other both? Okay.
Both. Like I said, we have 6 pyramids and they all belong to the same complex. For me, they were built at the same time. So they were result of intelligent design. The same goes for the tunnels. We have such a vast network. So far, we've discovered entrances to 2 different levels. One is 476 meters above the sea level. The other one is 471. But then on 476, we've discovered 5 entrances in different areas. So obviously, they were part of the same network at one time in the past. So what we have above the ground, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, which is the key structure in the valley. First, we thought it was more than 220 meters because it was very obvious. Later on, we realized it is at least 360 meters, which is more than 1,200 feet, 2.5 times the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which has been considered the biggest. When it comes to the volume, it's more than 10 times. So in the case of Egyptian pyramids, you have 6 million tons of blocks. Bosnia, so much more. So somebody was able to manipulate with the huge quantities of construction material. And again, I'm saying they knew how to position, how to locate all those structures, respecting elements of sacred geometry, but also astronomical features and relationships, and then, the relationship between, the pyramids themselves. So it was very, very advanced knowledge.
So if you were to imagine, I think you show it also on the chart, but the spiral, right? The Fibonacci spiral. Is
Yes.
the Pyramid of the Sun, where would it be located on that spiral?
Yes. The Pyramid of the Sun is, in one case of this spiral, it is at the beginning of the spiral. And then on this spiral, we have the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of Love and 2 more pyramid hills. But then on the second spiral, we have in the center, at the beginning, the place where 2 rivers meet. We have 2 major rivers in the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, and water was of the major significance for the pyramid builders. So place where river Foinica and river Bosna meets is the beginning of the spiral, and then we have the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun sitting on this spiral, entrances to the tunnels, and the tumulus complex. So it tells us that they carefully placed all these structures.
It's true, because we've confirmed it also with reading frequency of the water there. And the Sun Pyramid, you say, is the most important structure, which I'm curious to know why, but from a frequency perspective, we gave you the number. It's the highest frequency of 1,000, frequency of 1,000. That was at the time it was built 29,000 years ago, right? So there's definitely big significance, but the water is key here, and we can touch upon it, but maybe you can a little bit touch upon why the Pyramid of the Sun is so important.
Well, it seems to me that the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun was the first structure built in the valley. Why I'm saying that? Astronomically speaking, we can follow the shadow of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun in the valley. The shadow, of course, it is triangular because we have a pyramid. As the sun moves on horizon, the shadow of the Sun Pyramid also moves in the valley. And during 3 major dates, the first one is the summer solstice, June 21st. The second one is the middle of summer, the 40 days, beginning of August. The third one is the fall equinox. So now we can follow the movement of the sun pyramid and very specific relationship with the western slope, with the triangular face of the Bosnian pyramid of the moon. At one point, the shadow comes during the summer solstice on the other side of the moon pyramid. Top of the shadow equals top of the moon pyramid. The bottom of the shadow touches the foundation of the moon pyramid. During the summer, in August, the shadow completely covers the moon pyramid just before the sunset. The top of the shadow touches the top of the moon pyramid. And at the beginning of the fall, the shadow is coming from the other side, from the northern side, saying, well, the colder days are coming. And again, top of the shadow equals top of the moon pyramid, bottom of the shadow touches the foundation of the moon pyramid. Now, it tells me that they built the sun pyramid first, and then following the shadow, they decided where to build the moon pyramid and what the height of the moon pyramid would be. So it's amazing. And later on, even the next pyramid, the pyramid of love, was joined to the complex, and the shadow of the love pyramid during the fall equinox covers the moon pyramid completely. I mean, amazing that. If it was just this element, this area, that would be an amazing thing. Instead, we have so many different levels.
Wow, so working in harmony with nature, for sure, right?
These beings knew what they were doing.
In order to
That's correct.
harmonize the earth even more.
Yes, yes.
So I'm looking because there was a one of the pyramids, I think it's, hold on, that was built also, Temple of Mother Earth. Based on our testing, it was also 29,000 years ago. Why is that? Why is that built before the Pyramid of the Moon, which is based on our testing 28,000 years ago, Pyramid of Love 28,000 years ago, Pyramid of Bosnian Dragon also 28,000 years ago. So those two structures were around the same.
Mother Earth is a little bit different. It has one triangular face on one end and the other one on the other end, and in the middle you have like circular structure. It's like crescent moon. Why it was built this way? This is the first time I see something like this in the world, even though those two triangular faces are perfectly aligned with the cardinal points. And it seems to me that it has something to do with the energy movement within the valley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are they serving as, I don't know why the word mirrors come to me, if they're so somewhat could be reflecting also energies or information to each other. Okay?
That's correct. Energy always means information.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, amplifying energy, amplifying information. And most probably all other structures serve the key structure. You know, when we measure the top of the sun pyramid with the 5 different teams from 5 different countries at 5 different times, we concluded that through the top of the sun pyramid, we have the energy beam, which is 28 kilohertz in frequency, electrical in nature. It's continuous because we measure it during all 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. In science, it is called the scalar waves phenomenon. But then the direction of this energy beam coming from the top of the sun pyramid is toward our sun. In the morning, it's moved a little bit to the east. At the noontime, south. In the afternoon, southwest. Evening, west. But energy beam coming from the top of the moon pyramid, it's moved towards the sun pyramid. Energy beam coming from the tumulus, artificial conical hill in the village of Vratnica, is moved towards the sun pyramid. Energy beam coming from the hill, which we named the Bell Tower, in our beautiful park around to move towards the Sun Pyramid. So it seems to me that all these structures, or even shaped hills in the valley, are there to support the key structure, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun.
And that's exactly what the testing also showed, that every structure from a frequency perspective was placed to support that.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that you asked us of
Why?
Right?
Why?
And we go, okay, why? Can you be more specific? But it
Well,
would make total sense.
I've seen phenomenon like this one. When I went to Western Tibet, to the holy mountain of Kailash, when you look at the Kailash from far, you can see this four-sided pyramid mountain. It's a huge mountain, 6,500 meters. I mean, we're talking about 20,000 feet. And it is surrounded by approximately 10 pyramid hills. Some of them are looking like true pyramids, like let's say Great Pyramid of Egypt. Some of them are stepped pyramids. They are four-sided stepped pyramids. You come close, you can see that they are like natural mountains because they are made out of limestone. You don't see blocks, you don't see, artificially made steps. Looking from far, it is very obvious that they are pyramid in shape. So it seems that the smaller shaped pyramid mountains are supporting the key pyramid mountain, which is Kailash. So, so right now we have like two phenomena on two sides of the world.
That's amazing. Are scientists now studying this and taking samples to see if it's artificial or man-made?
Well, in the case of Kailash, it's obviously natural. It's a mountain. I mean, you go there, you see the mountain, you see the limestone material, but you don't see artificially made blocks. In our case, something else. It is artificially made structure. You can see the blocks. You can do the lab analysis. You realize it is artificially made concrete. However, the Bosnian Pyramid complex is so much younger comparing to Kailash. What's the age of the Kailash? I would say millions of years. So in this case, it's not about the humans. Homo sapiens, for sure, has not done anything with Kailash. It's been there. Who were playing with the Kailash? It's hard to say. But I think there are very powerful forces beyond our imagination.
Yes, I know that you've asked us to see who was behind the blueprint of creating the Bosnian pyramids. And this is so fascinating because based on our testing, we discovered that it was the Pleiadians who were the creators of the blueprint, and they were the ones who actually responsible for building the Sun Pyramid.
The architects.
They were the architects and the builders of the Sun Pyramid. They were the architects of all the other structures, even though they didn't build the other structures. And I'm curious, have you ever had that thought? Because we didn't test the other pyramids and who was responsible for them. Do you see any correlation? Because you gave us a hint that the alignment of those pyramids is with the Pleiades star system, right?
That's correct. I'm a scientist, I'm a researcher, open-minded, and during my work, I'd like to see the scientific evidence. That's the reason why we apply scientific methodology. But I'm also aware that we rely in our daily life on our five physical senses, but they give us very small and very limited picture of the world where we live. If only we could see or we could hear more, then we would realize that the world around us is much more complex, and there are many different energy and life forms around us. Probably we would be able to see spiritual entities, other energy entities, maybe extraterrestrials, and so far. If we could see that, then the idea about the extraterrestrials would become so much more common. Now, when it comes to the star system of Pleiades, what we know from the astronomy, it's a star constellation with many, many stars. I mean, we are probably talking about 800 stars and 400 light years away from us. However, that star constellation that belonged to much bigger, star family called Taurus. The star constellation of Pleiades have been very important for our planet because you can hear the stories in oral traditions from Northern America, from Central America, from South America, from India, and so on, about 7 sisters of Pleiades. Because what you can see with your naked eye from that star constellations are really 7 stars. And what we did, we took, a couple of years back, at that time we knew about 5 pyramids in Bosnia, now we have 6. We confirmed the 6th one. So those 5 pyramids and their layout perfectly match 5 out of 7 stars in the star system of Pleiades. So it means a lot. I mean, it cannot be a coincidence. Is it a message? It's very possible. So when it comes to the Pleiades, according to the many UFO researchers, the hominids from the star system have been coming to our planet for a very long time. This is what they call the Nordic type of beings, with the blue eyes and the light brown hair and so on, 6-7 feet in height. They are benevolent. They are beings who want to help and support our planet for a very long time, unlike some others. So is it possible that if they do exist, that they design and maybe even execute 1 or more pyramids? Of course it is possible. It's obviously the knowledge that belongs to someone who knew that pyramids are very powerful energy machines, and they can help us to solve at least some parts of our energy needs, and that the pyramid energy can improve the molecular structure of beings, protect the health of water, of food, and so on and so forth. So is it possible? I'm very open for that possibility, yes. Especially since the Pleiades or Pleiadians have been mentioned so many times in different oral traditions. Now, are they the only one who's be coming on this planet? Probably not. When you receive such testimonials, like, for example, the Canadian Defense Minister during the 1970s, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, he was member of the parliament, who's been saying that while he was minister, he was meeting with his US counterparts, and he was even able to see 2 or 3 different species of extraterrestrials. Well, this is something coming from the first-hand testimony. It's not, a journalist who's been writing third-hand. Or Lieutenant Corso, Philip Corso, who from 1961 to 1963 was the head of the Army Intelligence Services in the US, and who's been telling us about the artifacts retrieved from the place of the cosmic accident in Roswell, 1947. And he's saying 1/3 of all artifacts discovered at the site came to the US Army, 1/3 went to US Navy, 1/3 went to US Air Forces. And he's describing those artifacts, which were totally unknown during his time. And based on the knowledge that they retrieved from those artifacts, and based on engineering they done, thanks to them, we have such explosion in computer science, robotics, laser, and some other technologies. And thanks to them, we are basically developing our societies probably a few hundred years quicker than we were supposed to. So obviously in some military, some political, and some other circle, there is a knowledge that it is not accessible to us, common people, even though people talk. So I would say that it is very possible that not one, but maybe many extraterrestrial civilizations have been visiting our planet. And it is some type of the testing lab for them.
I know we're excited actually to test out different theories of creation, of how we came to be on Earth. So this will be our next project to find out. Are we a result of the Big Bang theory? The whole universe. Are we genetically, manipulated and placed here 200,000 years ago? So this is something that is the next project to explore. But the water, we wanted to talk about the water because the water in the pyramids is, or the tunnels, right? In the tunnels, which are under the pyramids, the frequency is so high. We did a couple of episodes with Alejandro on water. And the highest frequency, this is before we tested the water in the tunnel, was a frequency of 800, I think. Was it 800? And this was, the water was 800 in Russia, the Baikal, Lake Baikal region. It was the highest frequency of water. And overall water, pure water, is supposed to vibrate at that frequency. But all around the world, the waters have been absolutely polluted, not only with the chemicals that humans use, but also with pollution of how we are being as humanity, to nature, to our environment, to one another. And it impacts the water, because most waters that we've read around the world are frequencies between 50 and 100, which is so sad. But the water in Bosnian Ravne tunnels leading into the pyramids was exactly that frequency. And the impact on human body was 950. The impact on human energy field, 900. This is absolutely spectacular. And perhaps these ancient technologies, the pyramid technologies, are here to also teach us something as human beings, how we can raise the vibrational frequency of water, which is information, which would be so beneficial to our health, to our planet, right, to the plants around us, to what we consume. And maybe you can touch upon that, because I know that you've done some experiments with elderly population through a university also. It was a double-blind study. They didn't know that they were drinking this water.
Yes, that's correct. Water is a major the source that we have at our pyramid sites, but also every significant pyramid sites as well, in Egypt, China, Peru, Mexico, Tibet, and so on. We come to the question of the vibration. Now, what we are saying and what we can see, the water that we drink, our city water or our bottled water, vibrates very low. Why? Because this water contains traces of heavy metals, contains traces of plastics. It's been treated by chlorine, by fluorides, and so on. So basically that kills the water, and there's a reason why it vibrates so low. On the other hand, the water that we discover in the Bosnian pyramid underground, prehistorical tunnels, is completely different. It's not treated, but when we do conventional physical, chemical, and microbiological analysis, we can see there are no viruses whatsoever, no bacteria, no fungi. pH is perfectly calibrated by the pyramid energy. Why am I saying that? pH 0 to 14, 7 is neutral. Well, our blood is not 7. Our blood is 735 to 7.45. And the water from the Bosnian pyramid tunnels, from Ravne tunnels, is 7.45, like our blood. So it's perfectly adjusted to our body. The next thing, we've done an experiment with our water, sending it to the Bion Institute in Ljubljana, Slovenia. So what they did for 1 week, they were giving our water to one group of Slovenians, and the other one was drinking city water. And they never told them, who was drinking which water. So after a week, after observing by rather sophisticated instruments, they realized that our city water is energetically dead. You drink it, but it goes through your body. You drink Bosnian Pyramid water, it feeds your cells. And now we are coming to the question of the vibration. When we send the samples of our water, and interestingly enough, we send the city water from Visoko, Bosnia, and samples from the pyramid water to late Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan 8 years back. And what he would do, he would frozen the water at minus 21 degrees Celsius, and then he would film the water through the electronic microscope. The city water, the molecular structure was all deformed because it vibrates very low. The pyramid water had a beautiful hexagonal shape, hexagonal structure with the crystal-like structures all around. You could see that it was energetically alive. It was happy water. It vibrates very high. And that's, what we need in our life. We are what we drink. If you drink, deformed, dead water, it won't help you much to raise your level of vibration. And the opposite, you drink this pyramid water. And that's one of the, or part of the reason why you felt so good while you were here in Bosnia, because you were drinking pyramid water. So we have our vibration very high. We feel love for the whole world. We become very pure, physically, mentally, intellectually, emotionally, energetically. That's very important. We are what we drink, but we are also what we eat. We are what we think. We are where we go, and so on. That's why the question of water is so important for us. And what we really need today is the new science, science about the water, because water affects everything. Water, of course, carries the information. And this water in the pyramid tunnels has been exposed to the pyramid energies. On one hand, its total absence of all harmful radiations, no cosmic radiations, no underground radioactivity, no geopathogenic radiations, no signal from the cell phones, no signal from the Wi-Fi. And we've been exposed to it on a daily basis. On the other hand, the best frequencies of the electromagnetism, of the ultrasound, 28 kilohertz frequency, of very low, ELF, extremely low frequency of 7.83 hertz, original Schumann resonance, and very high concentration of negative ions. Now, these 9 values, that's something that we can measure using our scientific instruments. Probably there are some more, but we don't know what to measure. We don't have scientific instruments. So, but based just on those 9 elements, when they combined, they make this water so beneficial. And I would totally agree that this water is such a major source or resource that we have in our project. And I know about your scale. You were telling me about it, from 0 to 1,000. I know that everything below 200, especially 150, no bueno for us, no bueno for community. Everything above 200. Now we are getting to the stuff that are beneficial for the society, for all our relationships, for the way we think, the way we affect other people, especially when it comes to 300, because some of our pyramids work at 300 right now. Some of them are at 500. And of course, you apply, I would say, correctly, the frequency of love, the frequency of peace, which is even higher, the frequency of illumination, 500, 600, 700. Water, when it's coming to the levels of 800, like you mentioned, the Baikal Sea, which I believe that, of course, we do have some areas in the world which, where the water is not contaminated. Then yes, when you drink that water, obviously it feeds your body, all your bodies, in a beautiful way. And when you come to the levels of 900 or 950. So it affects us whether we know that or without knowing that. People come, we started bottling that water, Elena and Alejandra, as you know that, and we sell it only in one little shop near the tunnels. So we are not there to mass produce the water, to start bottling and send it around the world, because probably 99% of the people would not realize the importance of the water. But those who come to Bosnia, well, it means that they have something to do with this project in the past. And secondly, most of them, they realize the value of the water. They buy it, and they have the continuation of the pyramid energies by them. They can use the water, they can mix it with the regular water, and then leave it overnight. And since the pyramid water has superior information, it is going to color the regular water with those information. So, like I said, we need a new science, we need to be open. Everything is alive. This water is alive too.
Yes, yes. It was so evident that we could feel it. And then after we did the measurements, we confirmed what we felt.
It's been a while since I actually was able to drink from the faucet. I was like, wow, like I'm actually drinking water from the faucet, and it's safe and it's delicious, really just delicious. And it goes back to perhaps the movement you're starting. And it's not perhaps, I know, it's beyond the pyramids. It is teaching people, for those that are open, that it is, there is this very powerful science of the pyramids that people can set up, if they're open, communities around the world where these pyramid structures are placed to harmonize the earth, to harmonize the water, to balance everything that is happening in that environment. It's so powerful because when you come to Bosnia and the archaeological park, I mean, you can't not feel it, especially those of us that are sensitive. And I think most people that come there, they're very sensitive, highly sensitive people, HSPs, walking through nature, but it's beyond that, because also what you've created is very conscious aspects, different areas where a person who is aware can connect more to themselves and to the energies in that environment, which is so powerful. How did you come up with that plan to do that?
Yeah, well, in 2005, when I discovered the pyramids, my major goal, my ultimate goal was the archeology, how to come from the entrance to the tunnels under the pyramid, how to discover more about the builders and things of that nature. Then we realized that archaeology is not enough, so we expanded to different scientific disciplines, and then we realized that it was all about the energy aspect, which affects different areas of our life, including spirituality, and then the healing. But then I knew that it was not enough. We needed people to stay a little bit longer, to feel the effects of the pyramid energies. And that was the reason why I started buying the swampy land, muddy land, with a lot of trash, which we transformed into the beautiful park. And then I realized a little bit later that really this energy in the valley is starting from this park. And that's the reason why by the hill in the park, we named the bell tower. This energy singing, energy vibration is starting in this bell tower, which goes to the south for 2 kilometers, then to the east, and ends up at the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. It was like one energy body. I was very happy about it. And this is the place where this hill is ending, where we do our concerts, our festivals, our fairs, our book promotions, our presentations. And with you guys, we had one presentation. I think it was a really beautiful event. Everybody enjoyed that. And the tango festivals and all kinds of stuff. And people feel so happy when they get the consciously and subconsciously, they can feel it's a special place. It's much more than just the ordinary park. And there's so many different installations. We have the water fountains, we have the botanical gardens, we have the megalithic circles, labyrinths of love, labyrinths of energy, labyrinths of purification, labyrinths of health. And even the sports activities, started with the tennis, we are continuing. While you are gone, we are building 2 more sports arenas. One will be for the volleyball, in the sand. The other one will be basketball. So nice stuff. People come and on the concerts, they dance, they bring joy. It's the whole concept of different living than what they offer us today through the transhumanism and artificial intelligence, going back to the nature, harmony with the nature, harmony with each other. So this is like you mentioned, this is some type of the new open community. We have wonderful places around the world, like Damanhur. Damanhur, they're not trying, but they've been establishing this balance between physical and spiritual. Auroville in eastern India, the same thing. It's a village with the 50 nations over there. Some kibbutz in Israel, some places in Germany and America. Ours is different. When you don't have close community, you don't have positions, presidents, managers, ambassadors. Those who come, they got touched by the pyramid energy. Some of them for 2 hours, some of them 3 days, some of them year after year. So they are part of this unique, open community. They got sophisticated by this energy. And you mentioned the Bosnian pyramids, they have nothing but a smile on their faces.
It's so true. I think you fell in love with it yourself, because now you're there full time.
Correct.
Yes, and and you know what? It's contagious. I can tell you that.
That's for sure.
People say, "Where did you go? What is it?" I'm like, I know. Like,
oasis,
I said, I love that place. I want to go back. And people are so surprised. I'm like, you have to experience it to really know.
Correct.
So yes, we're excited to come back, to bring lots of people. And I hope lots of people come and really experience what it is to connect to yourself in such a powerful setting, because it's all about amplifying that which already is. So if you're feeling this love, it's going to be amplified. And there's an element of magic in there too.
One thing is to talk about it. Another one is to show the photos. Another one is to show the videos. But it's completely different when you get there, when you can use your senses, physical and spiritual, and experience it 3D, and you simply love the place. I moved from Houston after 25 years to Sarajevo, Bosnia, and then I moved from Sarajevo to Visoko, just 100 meters from the tunnels. And we love it here. We don't want to go back to the cities, concrete and bad electromagnetism. No, our place is here.
Yes. It's beautiful. Yes. So we hope lots of people come. I'm sure more and more who are seeking for the connection, right? And perhaps people will meet like-minded people there as well. So thank you for creating. First of all, thank you for doing the research. Thank you for creating such a beautiful place for human beings to really enjoy. And the fact that all of that region has gone through so much war, and I want to touch upon it because that was my feeling. Oh, we're going to go to a place that was, but we actually loved the people so much. And it's fascinating to me how those pockets of energy also have a lot of different wars that go on, right? So there's something energetically that was bringing that, but I think what you've done with that space is also bringing awareness into uniting different nations from those regions, also uniting different cultures from around the world. So it's ultimately a place of connection, peace, love, and recognition that we're oneness. We are
Unity,
unity.
yes. Mhm.
You know, elites, in order to stay in power, to have the monopoly on knowledge, information, corporations, politics, and so on, what they do, they divide. Divide et impera. Divide and rule. And they've been dividing us in the last 7,000-8,000 years of documented history through the religions, different nations, different countries, states, races, and so on and so forth. Lately, vaccinated, non-vaccinated, and so on. But, you know, the truth is that we, the humans, we don't need much to be fulfilled, satisfied, happy. This is what we need to think about, not about the divisions. When you came to our place, you could see, for example, people from our little countries, Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, Macedonia, Montenegro. It used to be one country 3 years back. And instead of the tension that we have through the political elites, because they know, once they keep them divided, they're going to stay on the power forever. So instead of the tension, instead of the animosities, we offer something else: the communication, the cooperation, the peace, the smile. We welcome everyone. They feel that. When they see each other, they know that there is no reason for any type of violence, for any type of the disagreements, and they love that. So I know about the wars in the past, and this is one extreme of our humanity. But what we do, we promote the other side, the other extreme. Have love for everyone, and people can clearly recognize that. And unfortunately, you won't be able to see the light without the dark. And we have had a lot of dark in our places. Now it is the time for the light to triumph.
Amen to that. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you for your time. This has been, as always, very insightful. And we hope thousands and thousands of people are going to come to visit Bosnian Pyramids. I know we're looking forward to next summer bringing our groups. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. I'm looking forward to see you again next season. And those who are meant to come, they will come. Those who are meant to connect, reconnect, they will do that.
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.